dad is like 7 or 8 years old and it still works. I can't tell you how, it just does. I am currently making garlic butter chicken with asparagus for breakfast because I do not like breakfast foods, so I just make whatever I'm feeling in the moment. So we're having this. I don't really know how long it takes to cook chicken, but I never really trust it, so I always end up like overcooking it. Granted, it's not the most attractive of foods, but it tastes good. I really hope that piece is not raw. I need to check. Okay, don't worry, that piece wasn't raw. It was just like one of those like pieces that had fat in it or something. There's a little heater on the floor and my dog's just like sat right in front of it because he loves heat. Like in the summer, he spends 90% of the day sunbathing. He will literally find any bit of warmth and he just sticks to it. Is that nice? Why does fire have to be like so damaging? Every single time I light a fire, I just want to stick my hand in there. I know as soon as I put my hand in there, my hand's burning and it will really hurt. But why does fire look so soft? Like I know it has its little flicks that are like pointy and sharp, but when you actually just like look at it, it looks so soft. Usually when you see people describe fire, they're like, it's dangerous, it's wild, it's all these horrible things, but which it can be. You know, you hear horror stories of wildfires going on across the rest of the world. But in a controlled manner, fires are just beautiful, really. If it's so horrible, why do we feel so safe when we're around it? Well, I guess it's because it was the start of like humanity, really. Once we kind of discovered fire, we could like cook and then eventually make tools and keep ourselves warm and blah 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 blah. Oh, it's still so tempting to just honestly, staring at a fire sends me into like a trance. Nothing else captures me the way fire does. Like as soon as I look at it, it's so hard to look away. It's just so mesmerising. Maybe I like fire so much because I'm a Sagittarius, which is a fire sign. I don't know.
Blair Witch.
Oh my god, guys. I just found the scariest thing. Last year I made the goal to read more, and last year went very successfully as I had read I think around 7 books last year, which is good considering previous years I didn't read anything, so that's pretty good going for me. But this year I really want to read a lot more, and so I have found a way that has helped me want to read more and has made reading more enjoyable for me. And this method is through my book journal. So I started a book journal this year to basically help me keep track of what I read, keep track of like what I like within books, what themes I like, what kind of styles of writing I like, and also helps me retain the information that I'm reading within these books. So within my book journal, I have chapter recollection, which is basically where I will recollect what I had read the previous day or previous night. So most evenings I put my phone away and I read before I go to bed because it's quite calm and relaxing thing to do before you go to sleep. And then what I do in the mornings is I get my book journal and I write about what I had read the previous night to basically help my memory, because previously I had just read books just for the sake of reading books, and if someone had asked me what the book was about, I wouldn't really give you a good answer. And so this book journal has helped me retain the information and actually remember what I'm reading, which makes it much more enjoyable. Also within this journal, once I've finished the book, I have a page dedicated on my thoughts of the book, whether I would recommend it to someone else, what I liked, what I didn't like, which also helps me figure out what my next book is going to be. So from doing this final page of summarization, I can figure out what my next story might be. And I think that's the reason why this year, so far, the books that I have read, I've actually quite enjoyed, because going from last year, I just kind of read books that were recommended to me, or when I went into Waterstones, I just picked up books that intrigued me a little bit, and they were okay, but they didn't inspire me or make me feel excited to read it next. But this year, so far, the books that I've read, I've actually really enjoyed a lot more, and I think that's also down to kind of knowing what to look for when I next get my book, and also what I may potentially like in genres of books that I usually don't read. For example, I've never read non-fiction books, I've always stuck to fiction, but currently I'm reading this book, which is a book basically about all of the myths and legends that we used to believe about animals. For example, one of the chapters is about eels and how originally we used to think that they used to just spawn out of the ground just because. But it talks about all sorts of strange myths and legends that we used to believe about strange animals. But it's not boring as well, because the reason I didn't read non-fiction books is because most of the time they're boring. And so the writer of this book, Lucy Cook, she writes it in a quite charming and endearing way where it's kind of almost a little bit funny. So if you're into wildlife and animals, I 100% recommend this book. It's a really good read. I'm blabbing on now. But basically what I'm trying to encourage is that if you are reading but you're kind of struggling with it or not really enjoying it and you're just doing it for the sake of doing it, try journaling alongside with it, because it does make the process a little bit more fun. I feel like I just blabbed on for too long. When I get passionate about things, I do just go on and on and on, which is either a good trait or a bad trait. Yeah, I don't know.